All right, Jeffrey, how much you got left in the tank, son?
I don't know, Coach. I think I got one more in me.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Ray, take the ball and go, buddy.
All right, here we are. Thanks again for watching the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show. We appreciate you tuning in here. Jeff's not very happy about that right there, but hey, it is Season 1, Episode 1 of the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show. We appreciate you being a part of today. Ray Halbrook from Livestream STL Media. Wonderful day today here to talk about our brand new show here, DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show. We are going to put a little disclaimer on that. It is the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show, as it says right here, but we will be covering also DIAMONDCAST Softball because we do carry softball this spring, and we're hoping to get together with all of our coaches in the area here, JUCO, high school, JUCO softball as well, and things like that. So, we just wanted to maybe preface on what our plan is with this particular show. And I know Jeff's got a lot to talk about that as well. So
I'll be ready for the next outing.
There you go.
And there will be things I need to get off my chest.
Okay. All right. So I see a Woody's Rants segment coming in, and we'll see how things go. But our plan here soon is to preview this season that will be upcoming here for high school and the JUCO baseball season, which they're hot and heavy in it right now. But we've got a lot of things on tap, and we're really excited about it.
Thanks, Coach. I was one strikeout away from getting my bonus.
Man, cry me a river.
Folks, stay tuned. We've got plenty to talk about here coming up here in just a little bit here. You're watching the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show on Livestream STL.
Need cash for your cause? Double D's Fundraising delivers big profits in crowd-pleasing frozen pizzas and Otis Spunkmeyer cookie dough. Delicious cheese, loaded meat lovers, zesty buffalo chicken, all the flavors fans crave. We make it super easy to earn profits for your organization. Always freshly made for your order. Call or email Double D's today to start raising money the tasty way at 314-472-8600 or fr@ddpizzeria.com.
At Farmhouse Style, we have all the modern styles and high-quality furniture at wholesale prices. Prices we can't even advertise. So if you're modern or traditional, boho or art deco, save big by making the 20-minute drive down Highway 55 to check out Farmhouse Style.
And welcome back to the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show here. We have our very first interview, and it is none other than Coach Zach Bone from the Jefferson Vikings. Coach, how you doing, sir?
I'm well. Although I got to say, Ray, you did not tell me that this was the inaugural interview here, so I'm describe myself as honored. Then
we are very honored to have you, sir. And before we get started, real quick, tell us a little bit about last season and your thoughts on last season.
We finished 29-18. Finished third in Region 16. Certainly some things to like about it. In my opinion, the standard here at Jefferson College is to be Region 16 champions and have a chance to play in Colorado at the Junior College World Series in June. So, I think anything short of that is less than what we certainly set out to do. So, had a great group. Had some really talented guys and certainly played well in spurts and maybe didn't end the way we wanted it to. And, don't think we played as well as we're capable of down the stretch in the postseason. But, proud of that group. A lot of really not only good baseball players, but some really high makeup young men. So, it ended how it ended. The old Tony La Russa saying is, when it comes to the postseason, you either do or you don't. So, certainly feel like there's a good foundation of returners from last year, and obviously proud of that group and hoping to play a little deeper in the spring this time.
Excellent. I'm going to turn some questions over here to Jeff Whitener here for you because I know he's got some great questions for you here.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, you've gotten off to a pretty good start so far this season out of the gate. Talk a little bit about the team thus far and how they've performed. Are they hitting all the right spots as far as your expectations go, or there's some things that you'd like to work on as we progress and then get deeper into conference play?
Well, Jeff, I've been accused of being very difficult to satisfy with regards to how we're performing. So I will say, I certainly think we've gotten off to a good start. 13-4, like you said, we've been been on the road quite a bit, and played some really good baseball teams. So. Region play starts for us this coming week against St. Louis Community College. This was our region bye week with 9 teams in our region this past weekend. So everybody else opened up with the region play this previous weekend. So we're getting a little bit later start on that. But, I'm certainly pleased with how we've gone about it. I think we've pitched extremely well. Starting pitching has been, really good basically every time out. We've got some guys in the back end of the game that have thrown the ball well also. And, we've certainly shown, the ability to be dynamic on offense. Andrew Sands saw, redshirt freshman catcher for us who's got 9 home runs so far. Brady Vessels, Jefferson County kid from Sequin High School who's played some outfield, played some first base for us, has 6 home runs. So there's been obviously some big swings at the bat. We've been pretty good defensively for the most part. I think we pitched it extremely well, especially our starting pitchers. So, 13-4 is a good start. I really feel like we should probably be 17-0 right now. But, I think the record kind of is what it is at this time of year. Obviously,
Sure.
You always want to be playing well. Whether it's 13-4, 17-0, as I like to say, that and 250 will get you a cup of coffee. So, I think it's just one of those things where the goal is to continue to improve every single day. And I know that sounds like a cliche, and it sounds like that because it is. But, in reality, this time of year, I think it's really about setting the tone for what region play is going to look like. What type of team are we going to be? What style of game are we going to play? Executing some of those things because, we played some tight games early and that's the fun part about, competing, in my opinion, is to play close games against good teams, and to be in those situations where you have to execute at the back end of games and really all games. So that's the goal, really, regardless, any time of year, but certainly here early on is, we're going to get out there and kind of see what we got a little bit. Obviously, we have a fall season here. Where, we'll play 12 to 14 games against outside competition. We're practicing 5-6, days a week during the fall. There's some inter squad, obviously there's some scrimmage type stuff where our guys are playing against each other. So it's always nice to get out and play somebody in a different uniform. And we've been really lucky. So this is the first time since I've been here that we've gotten this many games in early. Obviously, snow, rain, temperatures, things like that have tended to put a damper on that in the past. But we've been really lucky to get these games in. So I think starting to get an idea of kind of, what we've got right now. There's some guys that have been really pleasant surprises this spring. But, the goal is to continue to play well and get better because, with the idea that, nobody needs to step up when region play starts. Nobody needs to treat it like it's a different baseball game. We need to go out and do what we do, which is approach it the same way every day with the same mentality, the same energy, the same enthusiasm, and to hopefully go out and execute really well at a high level.
Zach, I got a question for you. In college baseball circles, they're known as Friday night starters.
Sure.
We know you play all during the week, but who is your Friday night starter?
Well, you know what, Woody? I think one of the nice things about it is that we've had a lot of guys who I think you could probably consider to be, that frontline starting guy. But Hayden Boyd, I would say, has been tremendous for us. He's a local guy from Sequin High School. Was coming off an injury his senior year of high school and through some limited innings last year, but. Hayden's the type of guy who can really pitch, man. It's 90 to 94. It's 3 pitches for strikes. He can throw both halves of the plate. He can elevate it. He can throw it down. Just an absolute warrior on the mound. The makeup is off the charts. Just not only a great student, but just a great young man who really sets the tone for what work ethic looks like around here. He's been tremendous for us his first 4 starts. He's got an ERA under 2. 4-1 strikeout to walk ratio, just the ability to make hitters really uncomfortable. So, Hayden is a no doubt, power 4, future power 4 arm, in my opinion. He's been tremendous for us every start he's made. Cody Scott, who's a returner, started for us last year, had some injury issues, and got his season cut short just a little bit. But, Cody's a 6'4" left-handed pitcher committed to Bradley University for next year. It's a really tough look for hitters. He can make guys really uncomfortable. So Cody's been great for us since the day he set foot on campus. And, has pitched it really well. And then Aiden Redmond, freshman from Farmington High School, I think really caught a lot of people's attention this fall with some of the velocity stuff. It's been up to 96 on the mound. The competitiveness is really off the charts. He's a fun dude to watch compete, and has been really good for us as well. And then, we've done some different things with that fourth starter. Quinn Redfield, who started some for us last year, started in that role some and been good. Ralph Giannino, freshman from Eureka High School, started this weekend in Game 3, because Redmond's been pitching Game 4 on the weekends. But starting Game 3 has been really good. And then, the back end guys, Levi McKinney, Chaffee High School, has been phenomenal for us in the back end. Sean Forbes, Oakville High School, a guy who had a really good freshman year for us pitching the back end of games. Caden Kohlberg, Seckman High School, transfer from Southeast Missouri State that got here at break, has been really good on the back end. Brady Matthews, Columbia, Illinois, left-handed pitcher, is committed to Southern Illinois University for next year. Has started and thrown some in longer relief. Levi Jeffries, a guy who threw some in the back end, has been really good. Levi's got a sub-1 ERA so far for the year. So we've got some different looks, some left, right, some different arm slots. I think we're super competitive. Daryl Coulter, who's our pitching coach, I think, I don't think this is hyperbole. I think Daryl is probably the best pitching coach in the country. I think what he does is so unique. Although my freshman English teacher, Todd Gurno, would dispute the fact that something can be so unique. He would say it's either unique or it's not.
Gurno reference.
Coach Gurno, if you're watching,
that?
I did learn that from you. So, I guess he's just unique, not so unique. But, the things he does with guys, teaching them not just, we'll work on the development stuff. We've got plyo balls and water bags and Rapsodos and everything else you can have. And those things are certainly important. But I think, teaching people, how do we get hitters out? I mean, on game day, that's really what counts, right? Is just the guy walk back to the dugout, or does he stand on first or second base? So I think just his ability to get guys to understand who they are, how they go about attacking hitters and get people out has been huge for us. To be honest, he's vastly overqualified to be the pitching coach at a junior college. But I think he's done a great job of getting those guys in the right competitive mind frame.
Let's go offense for just a second. You guys are off.
I know you like some offense, Woody, so hit me with it.
But here it comes, baby. 13-4. You're off to a great start. Who are your meat and potato guys in the lineup?
Well, that's a good question. Andrew Sands has been great for us. Like I said, 9 home runs so far on the year through 17 games. There's certainly some pop in the bat. He's I guess as we were talking about beforehand, the NJCA website is constantly a mess, so I could probably make up whatever RBI numbers I wanted, and nobody would know the difference. I'll never find the real answer. But Andrew's been great for us hitting the 4-hole. He's a tremendous catcher, super high makeup young man. It's really been a difference maker for us. He's a transfer from North Greenville University. He's from South Carolina, and has made a big impact offensively. Baden Hackworth is back for us, and Baden had a hamstring injury the first day of the year, actually, and missed a couple weeks. But Baden was back this weekend, and it makes a huge difference in our lineup. Baden is. I've been fortunate to coach some really good hitters in my life, both at our Herculaneum High School and with the Festus Legion program, and then here. Guys like Matt Shark, who hit 25 home runs, and guys who were really good players. But I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody who's more of a natural hitter than Baden. Just a natural hitter might sound like I'm almost doing it just like he doesn't work at it, and he does work very hard at it. He's just a very bright dude. He understands what he's trying to do. The bat to ball skills are tremendous. He goes line to line with the baseball. Has a really good clue of what he's doing. So those two guys are really, kind of what we knew coming in. We're going to be those middle of the order type bats who we expected to put up big numbers. Brady Bessel's had a tremendous 2 weeks. Matt Albritton, who played here, who I'm sure you guys probably remember from years ago, has been helping out this year. And he just finished his playing career last year. He's back helping out, coaching the hitters and infielders. Matt is probably the smartest young man I've ever coached when it comes to baseball. And the guys have really, really invested in that. And you see it with a guy like Brady Bessels, who's, Brady is a great player, this super talented dude. And then I think the first couple weeks he kind of scuffled a little bit, just trying to get the feel of it. There's always that adjustment period, man. Like you're playing college baseball, to borrow, I coached high school for a long time, and loved it. A ton of respect for what high school coaches do everywhere, and especially, in our area and how good they are at it. But there's always going to be an adjustment period. To borrow a line from Kevin Mulder, my predecessor here, like, you play boys high school baseball. And that's what they call it. You can look on the Mission website and look at the boys baseball numbers. But, this is men's college baseball. And they call it that for a reason. There's an adjustment period for guys coming in and just, going about it every day, the physicality that it takes. How do you recover? How do you take care of yourself? When you start seeing, guys that are low to mid 90s every single day, and guys that are really intent on getting you out, how do you adjust off of that? So credit to Brady and working with Matt. I think it's been huge for him. He's had a monster 2 weeks here. He's hit 7 home runs in 2 weeks. I think he's really getting to that point where he's starting to be comfortable, and he's a future star both here and at the next level. So, Dane Gray is a guy who's probably a little bit who is underrated for us. Dane is a great baseball player. Dane is hit 340, and Woody, I know you'll like this. He's one of those guys who still walks more than he strikes out. So he's just a dynamic leadoff guy for us. He could play 9 different positions on the field. We've played him all over, second, third, first base mostly, but he can really play anywhere. He's a really high on base guy, really sets the tone. He's never too high or too low. Doesn't matter what type of pitcher's on the mound. Dane's going to go out and do his thing. And then, Brady Wilson, who hit 10 home runs for us last year as a freshman. Brady's back. Brady has got a professional tool set. He's a 6'5" runner. It's 90+ from the outfield. He can play some third base. He's played center field for us. We could probably stick him anywhere. And Brady's made some really good adjustments. Brady had a good year. I think Brady would tell you that there were some things he needed to improve on from last year to this year. And to his credit, he's certainly done that. So those guys have been a big part of it for us. Austin Evans, who's a sophomore, played here and there a little bit as a freshman, but as a left-handed bat, is off to a really good start as well. So, certainly pleased with what we've done with some of the depth stuff, in the lineup. And obviously the longer you can make the lineup, the better you feel about your chances.
All right, Z-Man, here we go, baby. You ready?
All right.
We're going lighthearted. Bring it.
Okay.
One person you'd like to have dinner with.
Oh, goodness.
Dead or alive. Doesn't matter.
Dead or alive.
Carly doesn't count.
Carly does. I'm going to go with Augie Garrido.
Oh, that's strong, boy.
Long-time baseball coach. For those out there, if anybody's watching this a little bit, didn't watch college baseball as much in the 90s. Augie was the head coach of Cal State Fullerton and took what was a Division II commuter school that didn't have uniforms. There's a great documentary by Richard Linklater, the guy that did Dazed Confused, called Inning by Inning: Portrait of a Coach. You can find it on Amazon Prime if you're interested. But it's a year with Augie. Augie was the head coach at Cal State Fullerton. He was head coach at the University of Texas. Won 5 national titles. Really, he and Skip Bertman are kind of the godfathers of modern college baseball. Augie is also apparently very much a character. So if you made me pick today, I think I'd do that.
Favorite food?
Oh, goodness, man. If you've, my wife will tell you all of them, I think, maybe, I'll say I'm a big Italian food guy.
Good choice, brother.
Usually if we're going to go out and do something, she and I, it'll be something like that.
You're wearing earbuds right now. What music you listening to?
I'm wearing an earbud, because I tried both early and I wasn't quite smart to figure that one out. So, I listen to a little bit of everything, man. I know everybody says that, but I'll do some 2000s rap songs. They were playing some big timers. I Stay Fly this weekend at the Field. None of our guys were alive when that was a hit, but I can remember every school dance at Festus High School back in the early 2000s. That song was playing. I'm a big Tom Petty fan, big Eric Church fan. So a little bit of mix of everything. And like I said, I know everybody says that. I would be lying if I said I was up with what the most streamed things on Spotify are right now. But a little country, a little rock, a little rap music every now and then. I like to sort of, the one thing about, I'm sure you remember this, but when you're around young guys, it keeps you young a little bit, you sort of hear what's going on and some things like that. And I'll let them play whatever they want in the indoor facility when we're hitting. We'll close the doors in case it's not the edited version. But I like to break out some names of rappers that I've maybe seen on Twitter or something and ask if that's who it is and see if I can get anybody's attention with that sort of thing. But I would consider myself to be a big music guy, but maybe not as much of a current music guy.
Attaboy. Your favorite ball player growing up?
Oh, goodness. I was a huge Chipper Jones fan when he was playing for the Braves. I used to wear number 10 growing up because I was such a huge Chipper fan. and that's maybe, but I would say probably Cal Ripken Jr. Used to have a big Cal Ripken poster in my room when I was a kid, and just the I can remember watching when he broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive games played streak, and was just a huge fan of that. I had kind of grown up, the Cardinals and Ozzie Smith, obviously. We grew up. My dad would we lived in Southern California for a little bit when I was a kid, and I was a huge Magic Johnson fan at that time. My father used to tell me that Michael Jordan was better than Magic Johnson. I used to cry because I couldn't believe that could possibly be true. More of those older, those old school. I know that's not a baseball player, but just, I was a big fan of guys like that. There's probably a lot of people were, but I was a big Cal Ripken guy. I would say that just the ability to show up to work every single day in a physical environment like that is, is pretty noteworthy, and to be, a Hall of Fame player on top of that.
Okay, I'm going to be fair with you, but I'm going negative first. Your most embarrassing baseball moment, whether it's playing or coaching.
Oh goodness, man. My most embarrassing baseball moment. The reason I'm not puzzled because I can't think of one. I'm puzzled because I can think of so many, and I'm trying to sift through them real quick. I will tell you that there was a time when I was playing at Nichols State my senior year. This was just one of those. We were at University of Texas San Antonio playing on a Friday, and anybody who's watched UTSA knows they're pretty good. And it was a well attended game, and I laid a bunt down for a hit. It was a great one. I felt really good about it. I took 2 steps out of the box and I fell flat on my face.
Sniper
watched with a pained expression as they ran the ball over and flipped it to first base. So
okay,
that's
dog.
one that comes to mind.
Okay, I'm gonna be fair. Your most memorable moment.
My most memorable moment, I'm going to say 2009. We won the Coaching American Legion Baseball with my father. We won the Central Plains Legion Regional in Minnetonka, Minnesota. We beat Pittsburgh, Kansas twice on the last day. And I think that was really special. And I don't want to, not to single out that as being, I've been very, very blessed to be a part of a lot of really good baseball teams, a lot of really good players and coaches that made me look a lot smarter than I am. But that one particularly was special. My brother Logan was playing at that time. My father was the head coach. Matt Stites was playing. Cody Stites, the Stites family means an awful lot to me and my family. And just to be able to accomplish that with that group of people the first time the program had been to Legion World Series was really, really special. We went to Fargo, North Dakota. That was before they moved it permanently to Shelby. Used to be at rotating sites. We went to Fargo, birthplace of Roger Maris. The movie 61 had come out a little bit before that about the Maris Mantle home run chase in 1961. And it was just it was a really cool experience, man. And just to watch JT Lovelace, our shortstop, run out towards the left field line there and catch that last pop up for the 27th out was that's a really special feeling.
Last question.
Okay.
What makes Zach Bone tick?
Oh goodness, man. I thought you said these were lighthearted. What happened to that?
Hey, I gotta throw you a change up, dude. Come on.
Here's the change up.
All right, so you guys know this. I'm from a baseball family, and so I sort of, I sort of just got into this because this is what we did. I love baseball. There's no secret about that. It's basketball also in high school and love that. I guess my skill set did not lend itself to playing basketball after high school, unfortunately. But my grandpa was a coach. He was so something that a lot of people. My grandfather was the assistant coach of the American Legion team. Ray Abernathy was the head coach of the American Legion team in Festus during that time. And that's something I don't know that Ray gets enough credit for. Not Ray Halbrook. You get plenty of credit, Ray, but Ray Abernathy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
that. And then my father played in there. He started coaching the Legion program with Billy Pruno in 1991. They went to the state tournament that year. Billy is a very near and dear to me and my family.
The mayor of Crystal City, Billy Pruno.
That's exactly right. And one of the all-time great baseball players ever to come out of Jefferson County. If there's a top three, Billy Pruno is in it. So, and just if there's a top 3 human beings, Billy's in it out there, and he may not be 3 or 2 in that list. Just a great dude, and so happy to know him. But I was kind of born into the baseball thing a little bit, and that's just what I started doing. John Hickson and Rob Bradshaw hired me at Herculaneum High School in 2011. I was 24 years old. I was a head baseball coach. I was a high school special ed teacher. I had a tremendous 10 years of coaching baseball at Herculaneum. So blessed to have that opportunity. I started, I was 20 years old helping my father coach Legion baseball when I first got into it. Did that for a long time. Learned a ton, had a ton of tremendous experiences with great people. So that's all to say that, for a long time, I think that, this is just kind of what I did. It's what my family did. It's what everybody in my family did. We coached baseball. But to answer that, and so Woody, I think I would have answered that question differently 3 years ago. And then I met my wife in 2019. We got married in 21. I have 2 kids, Evelyn, who's 3, and Teddy, who will be 2 this month. So that I think totally changed my perspective on a lot of things. I was a guy who used to, if we lost a game, didn't matter what game, what level, who we played, you could find me sitting at my house feeling sorry for myself afterwards, and just almost despondent to the point where, the world was ending every time something didn't go our way on the field. Probably not the healthiest way to look at things, but when you're the most important person in your life, when things don't go your way, it's easy to, start to try to question everything just a little bit. Well, then I had my kids and my wife, and just, they say, you guys are parents, they say it changes your life, and you think, when you're, 25, you think, oh yeah, sure it does. I didn't have kids till I was 37 years old. And it really does, man. They're not lying. It changes every single thing about you, just your perspective on it. I think I approach this now with a little bit more of, if that was my son or daughter, how would I want someone to treat them? How would I want that person who's responsible for their well-being, and in some cases, a lot of their happiness, how would I want that person to act on a day-to-day basis? How would I want that person to respond to adversity? How would I want that person to respond to a young man that comes up and it's just not going the way he wants it to go, whether he's not playing as much as he wants to, whether he's not performing like he wants to. I think years ago I looked at that a lot differently. I think it was more about me than it probably should have been. I think that's what's changed the most for me is going home and knowing, one, that, losing a baseball game is not the worst thing that can happen during a day. My kids don't know what the score was when I get home. They don't care one way or the other. They want to play. My son wants to play with his dinosaurs, whether we won or lost. And that's just kind of getting some perspective. I think perspective is a powerful thing, man. Just to see that there's more out there, to take things, obviously, I take this really seriously. I know that you guys know that, but, just to not only to take it seriously, but to also understand that, that the sun's going to come up tomorrow, either way, I should say, can only control what we can control, try to put our best foot forward and try to treat these kids like they're my own. I think if that's a long answer, Woody, I think that's what gets me going each day.
That's a great answer, Zach. And boy, that was going to be my last question for you, is how has your perspective changed over the years? So you answered that one already. So I'm going to shift. I'm going to pivot and go back. Since almost the day you were born, you've been a baseball guy. It's in your family. You come from a baseball family. It's ingrained in your soul. Was there ever any other point where if you thought, if I wasn't going to be involved in baseball somehow, what else would I do? Have you ever thought, I wanted to be an astronaut or a fireman or whatever?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When I first got out of playing, I thought I was going to go to law school. That was my goal. I went to Nicholls State. I played, was fortunate to get that opportunity. We weren't real good the 2 years I was there. And I think part of that is you could only recruit so many guys like me at that level and hope to be good. So there was a part of me, I think, that was a little bit done with it at that point. I can remember, I still have this thought from time to time. I moved back home from Thibodaux, Louisiana. I was, Legion baseball was starting. We were having dinner at my house. My dad was getting ready to go to practice in the evenings. He had done what he always did. He went and worked, a 10-hour day in the heat. And then he put his stuff on. He went to practice, and he said, what are you going to do? Are you coming? And I said, no, Dad, I think I'm just done. I think I've done my baseball time, and I think I'm going to do something else. He said, okay. There was never any pressure. He never forced me to play baseball. He never forced me to coach baseball. To be honest, when he was getting out of coaching Legion and I told him I wanted to do it, he did not want me to do it. I think he was against me doing it. He thought I should just get out of it altogether. As usual, I did not listen. But I remember sitting there, I sat at the table, he left, he went to practice. It was about 5 minutes in, sitting at the table, and I'm thinking, what the hell else am I going to do? So I got up, I put my stuff on, I went down there, and next thing you know, it was like, yeah, this is what I do, So have I thought about it, Jeff? Yeah, I've thought about it for sure. I used to want to be a U.S. senator or something of that ilk. But I think, I'm sure you guys have felt this. At some point, I think there's times in your life when you get the feeling that'll hit you that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. That feeling hasn't left. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I haven't had that thought in a long time, but there have been times when that's crossed my mind.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, and what you do, and the fact that you have decided to become the baseball man that you are, and we've appreciated our relationship and association with you over the years as well. And we really want to thank you for taking the time this afternoon and talk a little bit about the game and a little bit about life as well. And I know, Ray, we can't wait to get the season started. We're going to be out at St. Louis Community College this Saturday.
Pretty soon here. And, Coach, again, I know the legacy of the Bones have been pretty amazing, and from all of us at Livestream STL, we've enjoyed every single step of the way. And started back in 2019 when we were following you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I was about this close to not doing anything that summer. And
Sure.
It took some knucklehead 2 doors down from me here that said, hey, I think you're making a huge mistake. So, and lo and behold, you guys go to the World Series. So that was a pretty easy road to cover for us, but it was fun.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, Ray, and I think if that teaches anything, it's that you ought to listen to Jeff more.
That's right. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate that. And I was taking notes on your musical selections, by the way, so you might hear some pregame stuff.
That. Certainly.
There you go.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Zach Bone from the Jefferson Vikings.
Men to do what they do. Devoted, skilled, solving problems before there are problems. Just like the team at Crystal Heating and Cooling. 60 years of teamwork and dedication. To Crystal, you're more than a customer. You're a friend. Top reviews, decades of experience keeping your home safe and comfortable through any weather. And Crystal Care Club with included maintenance and free financing options. For 60 years, Crystal puts their heart into your comfort. Crystal Heating and Cooling.
Nice job, Raymond. I knew you could do it, buddy. Took us home, took care of it all. Nice job, young man.
Yes, sir. The arm feels good still here, and we appreciate everybody watching tonight's episode of the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show. Don't forget to check out all of our great content on our broadcasts here on livestreamstl.tv and our Roku app there. Download the Roku app, just search Livestream STL on Roku. You can watch everything we have out there for free. For all of us here at the DIAMONDCAST Baseball Show, so long. We'll see you next time.
Keep that chicken wing loosened up. We may need you next week.
Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.